Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We're here with a new Severance Season 2 discussion on the heels of, I think, what we both believe to be a very exceptional premiere. Of course, they have left us with a ton of questions, but the question we are going to tackle here is what is Cold Harbor? Something that may feel very specific and yet very important.
Yeah, they haven't given too much information yet in this one episode. At the very end of the episode, we saw Gemma / Miss Casey sort of on this computer screen, and right up at the top, all caps, it says Cold Harbor. So is this then the name of a project that she's part of? Is there something else going on? We have some ideas about what this could be
Yes.
and where this could be going. So, we're really excited to dive into this topic.
Yeah, just get your tinfoil hats ready. Go, be
It's
sure
on.
you're gonna need it in this one, and let us know your thoughts on all of this throughout in the comments. Like, if you guys didn't know already, we already talked in our premiere review, and you can see that we've got a link in the description below. A lot about the numbers and the percentages and like that part of the Miss Casey situation with Mark S implementing all this macro data and what that could mean. But before we go forward here in talking about Cold Harbor, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because after episode 2, of course, we are going to be back with the review, breaking that down and discussing what we have learned.
Also, if you already have Apple TV and you're already
Yeah.
watching Severance, Prime Target is going to be coming up here very shortly. It's great. We've had a chance to see
Yeah.
the first couple episodes, and if you're into topics that are kind of like Goodwill Hunting meets Indiana Jones, this is totally up your alley. It's such a fun, great show. We are covering it exclusively over on our Patreon, so if you want to check out our weekly reviews on that, that's where you can catch those.
Thank you guys so much for your support.
You ready? Let's dive into this. What is
Okay.
Cold Harbor?
I'm going to start here with just the filming context, because there is a literal meaning to what is Cold Harbor within the context of Severance, but then there's all these other ideas that are going to bounce off of it. So for those of you who are not super familiar with how a lot of TV shows work, if you are a Severance or a House of the Dragon or insert other grade A tier show here, Stranger Things, when you're out filming, you often are not going to say, "Hi guys, we're filming Severance," because you know what's going to happen. Hundreds of people are going to show up and try to spoil your show. So when Severance was out filming in the world during season 2, they actually used Cold Harbor as a code name to sort of throw people off the scent a little bit.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of filming going on in Canada. I'm from Canada.
Yeah.
It's particularly cold over there, and it is definitely cold there right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just Cold Harbor, just kind of a fun play on it being so cold in Canada most of the time.
Okay, now Cold Harbor on the show itself. As you set up earlier, we saw this on the screen attached to Gemma.
Yeah.
And we know that Mark S is working on something when it comes to Gemma. And I think one of the big questions, especially coming out of the premiere, we all have to wonder about is that Mark is clearly very important to Cold Harbor in some shape or form.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that they coveted to the point where they're willing to let him come back and work and willing to let him demand that his other former any coworkers also come back to work.
They are giving Mark whatever he wants. Like it's quite a lot. They're even sort of letting him have this false security of this idea of, oh, there'll be, no cameras around. Everything is great. You guys can have whatever you want. You want your old coworkers back? No problem. And they know by kind of like listening in a little bit, I'm sure, I feel like there's no cameras and no listening devices, but I feel like they are getting information. They know why he's back. They know that he's looking for his wife, but they also know where she is. So it's kind of gives Mark this false hope that he's going to be able to find her, but he's not going to be able to find her. And they're like, perfect, whatever it takes, whatever makes you get back there to putting those numbers in those boxes so that it works towards Cold Harbor.
It's the illusion of comfort, right? Where
Right.
you make them believe that everything is safe and sound. And this is without even getting into, and there's a myriad of theories out there suggesting, is this the real Helly? Is this Helena? Like, that's
Right.
a completely different sort of subject. But in getting into further Cold Harbor itself and what they desperately seem to need Mark in order to do, I'm feeling like there is a little bit of a chosen one complex going on here where only Mark can really do something to further along this mission because, well, one, otherwise, why are you so desperate to bring Mark back? We've
Yeah.
already learned that this is a 5-month time jump, right? From the end of last season. So has anybody else even been able to work on Gemma in that time?
Yeah, the thing is also Mark knows Gemma really
Yeah.
well. Was his wife, right? So even though they don't know what numbers necessarily they're supposed to be picking, it's something intuitive in them to be picking particular numbers and putting them into particular boxes. So for him, because he is connected to Gemma the way that he is, it makes sense then that it has to be Mark who intuitively is going to know what numbers need to go into what box. It's going to work towards Gemma and Cold Harbor.
Yeah, and if you guys watched our premiere review, you know that we already think that Mark is effectively reprogramming Gemma in some way, and he may not consciously understand exactly how he knows all these various X's and Y's and Z's and all this other stuff related to her memory, but it's just sort of there. It's that idea of the subconscious. It's just like even if you're severing your work self and your life self, there are always going to be some kind of inherent traits that stick around. You're a different person, but you're not like a totally different person.
Yeah, I mean, in our review, I was talking a bit about the idea that maybe Gemma is permanently severed,
Yeah.
that in the car accident, she ended up losing her memory of who she is. So they, without her permission, permanently severed her, and she is always on the severed floor,
Mhm.
and that they kind of can put her to sleep when things are starting to go sideways or they need her for some other sort of project. She's the only person down there at this point that we know of that is not who they actually are. Mark is still Mark, Irv is still Irv,
Yeah.
Milchek is not severed, but he's still Milchek. And then you have Miss Casey, and she is Gemma. So, is he now reprogramming her to be somebody else?
There's just clearly something about her, and whether it is her ability to be reprogrammed or whether it is something that she stands for, an element of her past, there's just something about her that makes her so essential to this company that they're willing to
Yeah.
attach like this sort of big significant project name to her.
Exactly. And that's why I'm kind of like, is Cold Harbor then just Gemma, or is there a bunch of people that are in the Cold Harbor program
Yeah.
that are permanently severed people that may not know who they are or what's going on, so that they are able to come in and work whenever they need them to come in and do whatever? And that she's not the only one, but there's hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people that they have working without permission.
Okay, so now we are going to get into the historical context of Cold Harbor because this is where things get very, very interesting. You've already got your tinfoil on, so go over in your tinfoil outfit and jump into a time machine here for a moment.
Beep, bop, boop, 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 boop. Okay, we're back in time.
All right, we are now back in the 1860s, everybody. This is
Hello.
a very, very long time ago. But the Battle of Cold Harbor was actually something that took place in Virginia during the Civil War. So this is a long time ago. But the interesting thing that kind of connects all of this to the world of Severance is that Lumen was apparently founded in 1865 by Keir Egan, just 1 year after the Battle of Cold Harbor actually took place. So this kind of does lead to this kind of weird idea of, okay, was Keir at Cold Harbor? Do the people at Lumen know this? Are they naming their projects after significant moments in his life? I think it's something to wonder about, but if we're kind of going to look at this even further from a symbolic point of view, the Battle of Cold Harbor was effectively the last major win or accomplishment, if you will, for Lee's forces before ultimately we all know what happened in the Civil War and we know who the victors here were. And it kind of leads you to wonder, is Cold Harbor then the last grasp of Lumen as a company? Is this going to be their last major achievement before society or everybody else weeds them out, and then society ends up beating this company once and for all.
Yeah.
It's just it's an interesting thing. It kind of makes me wonder how much the producers of Severance are sort of thinking about this. Are they trying to connect everything to history on like that literal of a level?
Yeah.
It's all really, really bizarre. But another thing that's interesting about this, and we kind of did some research on it, because I
Mhm.
was really curious of, okay, well, is Severance the show actually set around Cold Harbor, around Virginia? You watch it, there's a lot of snow. There's also the abbreviation PE, which is kind of a fictional state abbreviation. So
Yeah.
it's not a real place, but it kind of looks like, because we see some cabins, there's a ton of snow. I
Mhm.
kind of feel like we're not in Virginia here. I think we're probably in New York. I know the show, other than when it's been in Canada, they film
Mhm.
in New York, New
Yeah.
Jersey. Are they there? Are they in New England? I don't think they're in Virginia.
No, but I mean, all those places have snow, so it all makes sense.
It all does kind of connect in some shape or form in that way. But going back further again to history and what we know about the origination of Lumen is that back in the day, and I mean back in the day,
Back
Lumen was,
in my day.
yeah, that's a very appropriate voice for this. Like the whole idea of Lumen, the original vision here was they're making topical salves. They're helping to save the world. And who knows, maybe this is just
Oh,
total
okay.
snake oil salesman
Oh, it
behavior.
sure is.
But that does also then connect then okay, what Lumen may be doing now, because we're talking about the teachings of Kier here and the way in which they revere Kier and the company. All of this strikes me as someone who really believes that their way of doing things is right, to the point where they've convinced themselves and then convinced others.
Yeah, because Lumen as a company
Yeah.
is based on something that feels a bit more like a group and
Yeah.
groupthink and sort of these beliefs where, we all know companies are not people with beliefs. They're just companies, right?
Yes.
They're here to make money and they're a business and that's fine, but they're not a person with beliefs. And then you've got Lumen here where you've almost got the battle of Lumen the company and Kier and his beliefs and the people that believe that, and these two things coming together but maybe also kind of coming apart.
It's a really fascinating moral discussion with this show. Like, who really believes in the teachings of Kier? Who is there just for Lumen? Like, I feel like that's gonna be something we get more of moving forward.
Yeah.
But I think in a big picture thematic sense here, we're dealing with a company that I feel like is going out there with this presentation of, just like Kier, over a century and a half ago, they're trying to heal the world. They're saying, we have an opportunity for all of you to never have to feel the same sort of pain or suffering at work anymore. You have this opportunity where you can just go away, be someone else.
Exactly. This company is here to help you. We are listening. We are here to help you. Oh, you're going through pain. Let us take that away from you. Here is a solution for you. Don't worry. We have you. So it feels a lot like, Lumen the company is kind of this smoke screen to get you in so that it's then like, oh, we're going to take you on a tour of here and what's going on and the history of that, so that you start to, yeah, you're there trying to forget your problems, but you're also
Yeah.
being programmed to believe in this whole other institution and person, and that there's sort of this big leader of this movement that you want to be part of.
And they go so crazy extreme with it. Like, the outside purpose of Lumen is to promote healing. If you're in any, they tell you this is going to be a way to heal you. And then Gemma, the Cold Harbor part of this potentially, is the even more extreme version of healing, where even if you're having just the faintest amount of problems at the job, you go to her and she's basically like, your Annie loves raspberries. Your Annie is the best friend of every person in your family. They just, like, she is just there to gas you up, or at least that's what we have seen from Miss Casey, this version of Gemma so far.
Absolutely. And that's why I think that the real project that is going on with Lumen is this Cold Harbor. It's this idea of, okay, can we sever people and then make them anybody we want? And are we going to be able to do that then also with people who remember who they are?
Yeah.
Are we able to permanently sever people so that as we need them to be other people, we can make somebody whoever we want, put them
Yeah.
wherever we want, get them to say whatever we want, as Kier would probably want? It seems like Kier's real vision is control over people.
Yeah.
Get them to think and act the way that they want. And in the Severed program, yeah, the outies are not controlled, but the innies are controlled to some degree.
Yep.
And now that we've got our four that, were kind of out of control, they've got them back in this premiere, back under some kind of control, under false ideas that they're able to actually get answers when they can't get answers. And it allows Lumen to continue on with this Cold Harbor program, which
Yeah.
I think is just a way to permanently sever people.
Yeah, I think it's a way for them to further along their own quote unquote end goals here. And I think eventually they would love to have somebody who doesn't have some sort of subconscious attachment to somebody, kind of like Mark does with Miss Casey, aka Gemma. They're just not there yet. And I think they're stuck with Mark and trying to figure all this out for now. But we'll see where this season goes,
Yeah.
because, there's a lot of time left and we're basing all of this on a screen that is in the premiere.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't there for no reason. It
Yeah.
didn't say Coal Harbor for no reason. I feel like more answers are going to come this season, but that's what we got. There is an actual historical significance to Cold Harbor
Yeah.
and, Lumen's timeline. Like, it does all connect.
I'm so excited to see where this goes. This has been a total nerding out Severance video. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you hit that subscribe button so you do not miss our reviews. And as Jess has mentioned, Prime Target is kicking off this week on Apple TV Plus. It is so much fun.
So good.
Be sure to join our Patreon. We've got a link in the description. We're going to be discussing it there all season. Thank you to our patrons. We'll see you here next time.